St. John's drinking water sources are getting special federal protection. Municipal and federal officials gathered earlier this month for the announcement, along with conservation experts. The protection will extend to more than 4,800 hectares of city-owned land in the Loch Lomond and Spruce Lake watersheds. But just across the highway from the Spruce Lake protected area, people in Lorneville are still worried about the future of their drinking water as the city moves ahead with the expansion of the Spruce Lake Industrial Park. Members of the Save Lorneville group are moving ahead with court action in response. Chris Watson is one of the people involved. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what did you think when you first heard the water protection announcement?
I mean, first of all, conserving and protecting land in these Spruce Lake and Loch Lomond watersheds, it's extremely important for St. John. So I was very happy to hear this. And the Nature Conservancy of Canada and ACAP, they've led this initiative and have done some excellent work. And these are incredibly important organizations for our city and our province, and this effort is exactly the kind of precautionary, conservation-based approach we should be taking to protect our drinking water. And I mean, it highlights an important principle that basically that fully intact ecosystems, including forests and wetlands, they're critical to maintaining this a clean, reliable drinking water supply. And with this announcement, we heard a lot of our local politicians kind of jumping on the bandwagon and praising the protection of natural systems to safeguard drinking water.
And then the Save Lorneville group, which you're a part of, took to social media after the announcement to question the future effects of the Spruce Lake Industrial Park expansion on their drinking water and your own. So what are your main concerns you and your neighbors have?
So, unfortunately, the protection of this Spruce Lake system, it doesn't really do anything in terms of protecting drinking water for hundreds of residents in Lorneville. We're not hydrologically connected to that Spruce Lake system. It's on the other side of the four-lane highway there. But what we do have in Lorneville are forests, wetlands, streams that are critical to the health of our local watersheds. And this is a watershed that includes hundreds of residential groundwater wells. And these are wells that residents of Lorneville rely on for clean drinking water every day. And as we know, for the Spruce Lake Industrial Expansion, the city of St. John, they intend to destroy a massive area of these forests and wetlands that are situated immediately uphill of our homes and our water wells. And this is a process that has completely ignored the precautionary principle of protecting natural systems first to safeguard clean drinking water. And instead, they've adopted this approach of clear the land and develop first and monitor the impacts later.
Okay, so maybe you could explain the lay of the land, like how close Lorneville is to the Spruce Lake land that's getting protection and where it lies in relation to the Spruce Lake Industrial Expansion.
So the Spruce Lake land that's being protected around Spruce Lake itself, that lies north of the four-lane highway that runs from West St. John out to St. Stephen. And our community, the northern tip of our community, would lie about maybe a little over a kilometer south of that protected area. And the industrial land they're developing, it's 1,500 acres of land. So this very large area of land that lies immediately next to our community, immediately west of our community, and basically uphill of our community. And this entire industrial swath of industrial land, it's this fully intact forested wetland ecosystem that basically drains, it contains all these wetlands that drain fresh water towards our community and towards community salt marshes and towards the Bay of Fundy.
So I guess then that protection won't actually benefit Lorneville's part of the watershed then?
No, not at all. It's as I said, we're not hydrologically connected to that to the Spruce Lake system that is being protected. So it won't provide any protection whatsoever for our water wells.
Okay, and so your group has decided to take some court action. What are you doing? There's a judicial review that's ongoing. We filed this judicial review a few months back, and we've had
ongoing case management conferences to kind of deal with the procedure, and the hearing itself is scheduled for September 1st and 2nd of this year. So basically, this application to the court challenges the city's rezoning decision on two main grounds. One being procedural fairness, including concerns about councillor bias or lack of an open mind going into the public hearings, and number two, whether this decision actually conforms to the municipal plan. And so basically what we hope to accomplish is a fair legal review of the city's rezoning decision. We're asking the court to determine whether the decision-making process was lawful and fair, and whether the rezoning was consistent with the municipal plan. And if the court finds serious problems with the process or the decision, hopefully the remedy would be to generally set the decision aside, I guess, and send it back to be reconsidered properly.
And, considering plans are already underway for the industrial expansion and for that protected area, how much of an effect do you think this judicial review could have at this point?
Well, I mean, I guess if we're successful, again, it'll show we believe the process was unfair to begin with, and if we're successful, we're hoping that the court will see it that way as well. And so development is ongoing. That development will proceed based on timelines and how far or how long it takes to get through all the regulatory hurdles.
So, but could it have an impact on, could affect the industrial expansion if the judge did side on your favor?
I mean, it could. I guess, like I said, in general, these decisions, they're just, if it does get ruled in our favor, the decision basically gets tossed out and set aside, and hopefully sent back to be reconsidered properly. I'm not sure if the court finds there's been an issue with councillor bias and lack of open-mindedness. If there's a revote on the rezoning decision, the upcoming municipal election certainly muddies the water on that. So I'm not exactly sure how that process would unfold, but I'm hopeful at least that the whole process will be reconsidered properly from the very beginning, and that's what our community has been asking for a long time.
Yeah, and the Save Lorneville group has been calling for environmental protection, and here the municipal and federal governments are putting measures in to protect water, but not yours. I mean, how would you want people to understand how you feel about that? Well,
yeah, it's the city often points out that municipal reservoirs and private groundwater wells, they're different systems, but that distinction doesn't change the underlying science. I mean, in both cases, we have drinking water that depends on the same watershed functions, that being intact forests, wetlands, and these headwater areas that store water, that regulate flow, that filter contaminants and support this long-term recharge. And in Lorneville, private wells may draw from different parts of the groundwater system depending on depth, age, construction. This includes the shallow surface aquifer, deeper groundwater aquifers, but that makes the health of the surrounding land even more important, because disturbing the wetlands and soils and recharge areas can affect how water moves through the system over time. And if anything, private wells are more vulnerable, just simply because they lack that centralized treatment and redundancy. And the idea that precautionary conservation is essential for a city reservoir, but optional for hundreds of families relying on wells in the same type of landscape. That's not a scientific distinction. That's a policy choice by the city.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Emily.
Chris Watson is a member of the Save Lorneville group, and we reached out to the city of St. John to ask why expanded protections were given to the Spruce Lake Reservoir, but not to wells in Lorneville. And in a statement, the city's director of external relations, Lisa Cassie, wrote, We recognize that water quality is an important issue for residents in Lorneville. As background, the Spruce Lake Reservoir is part of the city's protected water system. While it is currently used to support industrial operations, it is managed to drinking water standards as it functions as a backup within the overall system. Because of this, it is subject to provincially regulated watershed protections, focusing on maintaining long-term water quality. And then she goes on to say, private wells are regulated differently and fall under provincial guidelines for individual properties. Any development proposed in or near the area must go through environmental review and approval processes, including provincial requirements related to water protection and potential impacts.